Hello Year 4, it's Mrs Evans here again, and I'm going to be doing your reading lesson with you today. We're going to focus our learning on our class text, The Boy at the Back of the Class. I'm going to read you the next chapter following on from Miss Murphy's lesson on Friday. So I'm going to be reading you chapter 3, and I'll do that at the start of the lesson today, and then we're going to take a section of this chapter and look at it in more detail. Our Viper skill today is Retrieve, and we'll look at that in more detail after I've read chapter 3. Chapter 3, 40 Winks. The next day, and the next day, and the next day after that, I smiled at the new boy and gave him a friendly wink, just as often as I could. My goal was to give him at least 40 winks a day, because that's what Mum said everyone needs. But after a while, my eyebrows started to feel funny. I could tell that the new boy was finding it interesting because he stopped looking at everyone else and kept looking at me. But then Michael saw me trying to wink with both my eyes, one after the other, and said I looked like I needed a doctor. Well, he probably said that because I can't wink with my left eye as well as I can with my right eye, so I decided to stop winking as much. That week, Mrs. Khan was teaching us all about photosynthesis and gave each of us a small pot with a seed in it to look after. Everyone was excited because she said there would be a prize for whoever grows the best plant. Even the new boy got one, and I think it made him happy because he kept on looking at it. I tried to whisper lots of cheerful words like rainbow and popcorn and marshmallows to mine, because I read somewhere that if you tell plants about happy things, it makes them grow quicker. I'd never won a prize before, not even at the fairground. I thought if I tried really hard and kept talking to my plant, I might win this time. And if I couldn't win, then I wanted the new boy to, because he really seemed to like that plant. But I was worried about Brendan the bully Brooker. He's the class bully. His cheeks are always pink because he spends most of his time chasing anyone smaller than him around the playground. He's not very clever and hates anyone that is. If anyone gets a top mark in class or a prize, he'll try and beat them up at home time. I saw him looking at Ahmet's plant and narrowing his eyes, just like he always does when he's thinking of something mean to do. I didn't like it one bit. His most common trick is to trip you up. He also likes to tip up your lunch tray as he walks by so that your food dribbles down your chest like runny eggs. He's done that to me a few times. Sometimes he gets caught, but most of the time he doesn't. And even when he does get caught, he doesn't get a detention. Most of the teachers seem to like him though. Maybe it's because when he smiles, he looks like one of those boys that sing in a church choir on television. Mr. Thompson used to call him a rascal, which must be a good word because he gave Brendan the bully a wink and a pat on the back whenever he said it. And then he always let him run off again. That made everyone else in class, except for Liam and Chris, Brendan the bully's only two friends, hate him even more. Even the bullies in the upper years find him annoying. It's funny how bullies don't like other bullies. Maybe it stops them from feeling special. But in school, everyone knows who the bullies are and who they like to bully, and no two bullies can go after the same person. It's a strange system, but those are the rules and everyone sticks to them, even the teachers. But Mrs. Khan is different. She doesn't seem to like Brendan the bully as much as the other teachers. She's always watching him, and ever since we were put in her class, he's been careful not to do anything around her. I'm still going to keep an eye on him though. Soon after the new boy joined our class, lots of rumours about him began to be passed around the playground, like an invisible game of pass the parcel. Most people believed Jenny and said that the new boy must be dangerous, and that's why he was never allowed out. But then other people started saying he had a super contagious disease, and that was the real reason why we weren't allowed to talk to him. The disease rumour scared Clarissa so much that she tried to sit far away from him as she could without leaving her chair. One time she leaned over so far that she crashed right onto the floor. She didn't lean away so much after that, but she always put her arms up or used an exercise book as a divider. I didn't think the new boy looked in the least bit dangerous or like he had an infectious disease, so the rumour I thought sounded the most true was the one that said he was from a super rich family and that his parents had sent him to our school undercover so he wouldn't be kidnapped. Michael said kidnappers wouldn't come to our school to look for him because it wasn't in a posh area, and Tom agreed. He said that when he had moved from America, his older brothers had told him they must be poor now because they were going to live in the poor end of London, not the rich end. I didn't really understand what he meant because London doesn't have ends. On maps it just looks like a spilt blob of jam. I wanted to ask the new boy if the rumour about the kidnappers was true and if he needed us to become his bodyguards. But he was still doing all his lessons on his own, and every break time and lunchtime he would disappear. So no one, except for Clarissa, could talk to him. And she didn't want to. I tried to catch his eye so I could smile at him and whisper hello, but Mrs. Khan caught me and told me to pay attention to my work. Next, I tried to send him a note made into a paper plane, because I'm good at those. But it flew wonkily and hit Nigel on the head instead. He's a tattletale and told on me straight away. I hate tattletales because they seem to like getting people into trouble more than anything else in the world, and they always smile when they're doing it. Mrs. Khan came and took the note and read it just to herself. She shook her head at me, but I think she must have found the drawing I made funny because her mouth gave a tiny smile that only I could see. Even though I didn't get told off, I knew it would be too risky to send any more messages by airmail, especially with tattletales around. The next day at break time, Josie, Tom, Michael and I decided to follow the new boy and find out where he was going. But Mrs. Khan caught us following him in the corridors and told us not to do it again. She didn't seem angry, but she did say that the new boy needed to be in seclusion for a little while longer, and it was for his own good, so we promised not to follow him any more. "What does seclusion mean?" asked Josie when we went back out into the playground. None of us knew exactly, not even Michael, although he said it sounded as if the new boy needed to have private treatment like a really sick person in hospital. So maybe he did have an infectious disease after all. But it wasn't long until we found out what seclusion really meant and why the new boy needed so much of it. Let's find out a little bit more about a section of this text, shall we?
So in today's learning, we're going to be focusing on a section of the text from chapter 3. And we're going to focus on one of our Viper skills. And that skill today is retrieve. So our learning objective is to retrieve and record information from a text. If you remember, Miss Murphy asked you to think about this question on Friday. And we're going to see if we can think about some of the possible answers that you might have from Friday's lesson. So the think question was, what do you think Amit will do next in the story? So you were asked to think about a predict skill there. What were your thoughts on that? What did you think Amit might do next? What did you predict that he might do next in the story? Well, some possible ideas might be based on the fact that he might start opening up to some of the children in the class. He might smile at someone or talk to someone. It might be that he may cry or run away from the school because he's still worried and he's not settling in very well. What did you think What were your thoughts? Okay, so before we look at our text today, we're going to think about some tricky words that we will find in the text. Can you read these tricky words? Let's have a look at them together. So the first word we've got here is contagious. Contagious. Now we can see that contagious has the IOUS suffix, and that's a suffix that you will find in another word later on in the lesson. See if you can spot it. Contagious. Exercise. Exercise. And the last word is disease. Disease. Can you read those together with me? Contagious. Exercise. Disease. So the word contagious can be used with the word disease. So a contagious disease is one that spreads with contact by an infected person. The word exercise is something you do to keep fit. Let's look at the next word. What is the root word in this word? Dangerous. Dangerous. Can you work out the root word? Yes, well done, Year 4. That's right. The root word is danger. And you can see here that we have the OUS suffix. Dangerous. Us, which sounds like contagious. So you can see that OUS is also in the IOUS suffix. Let's have a look at the word believe. This is taken from our Year 3 and 4 spelling list. What could help you spell this word? So I can see two little words inside believe. I can see be and lie. Maybe you could have a go at writing this word and thinking about a way to learn it. Could you circle the two words inside it to help you to learn it? Could you think about making up a mnemonic to try to learn the word? Pause the video now and write the word believe and see if you can think about ways to practice that word to help you to spell it. So here we've got some key vocabulary taken from the text that we're going to read. And these are words that we're going to have a little look at the meaning of now. What do these words mean? So we've got the word infectious. Oh, well done, Year 4. Did you spot that? That we've got the IOUS suffix there, just like contagious. Contagious. Infectious. Well, infectious means a similar thing to contagious. And in the story, the word infectious is used to describe a disease, and it means to spread to other people. So the disease is spread to others. Here we can see that this person looks like they've got the measles. They would be infectious. Undercover. Wonder what undercover means. Maybe you could pause the video now and have a go at using a dictionary or an online dictionary, if you don't have a dictionary at home, to try to work out what undercover might mean, or rumour. And I'll join you in a moment to look at the other pictures and answers. How did you get on with that? Well, in the story, the text refers to Ahmet being undercover. The text refers to the rumour that Ahmet's parents have sent him to school undercover, and it means working secretly, perhaps using a false appearance so that he won't be recognised. And rumour. Rumour means circulating or spreading a story which may or may not be true. And we can use the word gossip when we're thinking about the word rumour. Perhaps to practice these words, you might want to say it, or shout the word, or whisper it. Pause the video now and have a go at practicing these words, and then we'll move on to the next slide and look at today's text. Okay, so I'm going to read today's text. This is taken from chapter 3. So I'd like you to follow the text on the screen as I read it to you. But Mrs. Khan is different. She doesn't seem to like Brendan the bully as much as the other teachers. She's always watching him, and ever since we were put in her class, he's been careful not to do anything around her. I'm still going to keep an eye on him though. Soon after the new boy joined our class, lots of rumours about him began to be passed around the playground like an invisible game of pass the parcel. Most people believed Jenny and said that the new boy must be dangerous, and that's why he was never allowed out. But then other people started saying he had a super contagious disease, and that was the real reason why we weren't allowed to talk to him. The disease rumour scared Clarissa so much that she tried to sit as far away from him as she could without leaving her chair. One time she leaned over so far that she crashed right onto the floor. She didn't lean away so much after that, but she always put her arms up or used an exercise book as a divider. I didn't think the new boy looked in the least bit dangerous or like he had an infectious disease, so the rumour I thought sounded the most true was the one that said he was from a super rich family and that his parents had sent him to our school undercover so that he wouldn't be kidnapped. So it's a your turn part of the lesson now. So I'd like you to read the text independently, or if you prefer, you can read along with me. So if you'd like to read along with me, go back and listen and read at the same time. If you'd like to read the text independently on screen, you could turn your sound down and then that will allow you to read by yourself. Can you choose the think marks that you would use to show your thoughts on the text? So when we're in school, we would write these down, but if you're working on the screen, can you choose the think marks that you think would be maybe to show the funny part, or is there an important part of the text or a confusing part? Which is your favourite part? Which part of the text would you choose? And remember, this is your opinion, so there's no right or wrong answer. If there's any words you're not still too sure about, perhaps you could make a note of those as well and see if you can find the meaning of those. Okay, so well done Year 4 if you've read that independently or read along with me again. We're going to finish the lesson today with a think question. So it's another your turn part of the lesson. So our think question today is, would you like to sit by the new boy? Why or why not? So I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like you to write down your thoughts on this. What would you like to do? Chilly ones, I'd like you to say why you would or would not like to sit by the new boy. Chilly 2s, can you explain your reason? And Chilly 3, can you justify your reasons with evidence from the text or from the story so far? Okay, when you've done that, keep your thoughts with you, because in tomorrow's lesson Mrs. Price will be picking up with this think question and having a think about what your thoughts are based on this question. If you'd like to send any of your ideas into our Year 4 email address, that would be brilliant. We'd love to see what you've written based on this. Okay, so well done for today's lesson, Year 4, and we'll continue with this part of the text tomorrow in Mrs. Price's lesson. Okay, take care and I'll see you soon.